welcome back to the Resilience Key podcast. I'm your host, Steph Corbell, and as always, I'm so happy to be here with you today to explore yet another topic designed to help you channel your inner grit into personal growth. If you are looking for real practical advice to help you on your self-improvement journey, you are in the right place. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button now so that you don't miss out on any of my future episodes. And also, you can subscribe on any major podcasting platform along with YouTube now. I'm going to be alternating weeks of videos and audio content in all locations. So a few months ago, I went on this crazy epic solo road trip. I drove all the way across the United States, all the way from Southern California to New England in just 3.5 days. Then I ran a 100-mile race after a day of rest. And then I spent another couple of weeks visiting with friends and family, both there and later in the Midwest. And then I drove home. Now, it was something. It was definitely a healing trip for my soul in so many ways. While I was in Massachusetts, I met up with this old friend of mine who had just had her first baby, maybe about 1.5 years ago. And she lives in this rad old house in an area literally called Podunk. Kid you not, it's amazing. We spent a couple of hours catching up in their house, and of course, I had a blast playing with her little one. The conversation I had with her in that short time has really stuck with me over the past several months, so much so that I haven't been able to get it out of my head, and in a really good, transformative way. We were just sitting there watching cheesy metal videos in her living room, hanging with the baby and her cats, and she said something about how having a kid has taught her the importance of settling in. As in, settling into your current life, not trying to push for more, not imminently trying to change things, just settling into the present moment. And man, I felt called out by that in so many ways. Now, I talk about this all the time on the podcast, setting goals, moving forward, all that good stuff, how I'm a business owner and how I hustle and how I push. But this conversation was revolutionary for me, this idea of just settling into where you are and taking a breath. I realized that since my divorce from my first husband 7 years ago, I have been in constant hustle mode. I've been relentlessly focused on my business and building my client base and also flight training. But also, I've been relentlessly focused on this self-improvement journey, as in nonstop. So, for example, I realized recently that I gave up reading fiction for fun 7 years ago. Now I only read nonfiction, and mainly that's books focused on personal growth and spirituality. There's no fluff, there's no funsies. And while I run ultra marathons as my hobby, that's not exactly an easy thing. And I'm saying this after getting back from nearly 20 miles earlier this morning. And when I run, what do? I listen to business and self-improvement podcasts. I achieved this huge goal recently of becoming a flight instructor. I pushed and pushed to do that. And now do I go out and never fly for fun? No, not often. I'm always working. So a couple of weeks back, I had this transformative moment where I was thinking back to this conversation. And I was out on a run. I was listening to yet another one of these self-improvement podcasts that I subscribe to, and I just couldn't listen anymore that day. It was gorgeous out here in Southern California on the beach, and I stopped running. I took a few pictures, and then I turned up a great album on my phone, and I actually listened to music while I finished up my miles. I simply enjoyed it. I had no agenda, no plan. I simply was in that moment. And I realized it had been forever since I had actually listened to music simply for my own enjoyment. And I realized, wow, that needs to change. That moment is why I decided to record this episode today. I don't think I'm alone in this. Subconsciously, I think I pushed myself so hard over the last 7 years to make myself bulletproof against repeating my past. And I think most of us do this. We don't allow ourselves to enjoy ourselves in the moment because there's always something to do. And if you've been through some traumatic or earth-shattering crap, you want to build yourself up to ensure that that awful thing is never, ever going to happen to you again. Now, what's the cost of that? We lose out on the beauty of the present moment. Seriously, the present moment, that's the only thing we ever truly have control over. So why do we future trip so hard, either for or against something that may or may not ever come to pass? My husband has said to me for years that the true definition of adulthood is learning how to enjoy yourself between moments of endlessly solving problems. Isn't that the truth? I mean, yes, of course, as healthy, functional adults, there's going to be plenty of days where stuff just has to get done. But it is so easy to get caught up in that to-do list, which, by the way, is never going to get shorter. I hate to tell you that. You end up forgetting what the actual point of living is. And for me, that point is experiencing life in its full spectrum, in its full beauty, and finding points of enjoyment in those moments. So if you might be feeling stuck, like you can't enjoy yourself or like you've forgotten how to enjoy yourself, this episode, I've recorded this just for you, and here are some things you can try. 1, every single day, carve some bit of time out for yourself. Let me tell you, no one is going to do that for you. No one is going to enforce you taking a moment for yourself. No one is going to schedule it for you, so it is up to you to schedule it for yourself. You don't feel like you have the time? Well, no one's going to make the time for you, so you need to learn how. And it doesn't have to take long or even be a big deal. It could be something as simple as my own ridiculous little ritual of lighting a scented candle while I get ready in the morning for work. I always have my cup of coffee, and I light my little foofy candle while I put on my makeup every day while I listen to my favorite music. And I'm pretty low maintenance, so literally this just takes a couple of minutes, but it is enough to keep me grounded and feeling human even if I have a super busy day ahead. What about you? What is something simple that you can enjoy? And how can you make sure that you enjoy that on a daily basis? 2, it's easy to get overwhelmed by lists and demands and kids and family and work. But hey, ask yourself daily, what can I be grateful for right now? Seriously, I'm including myself in this. We can all get so focused on the stuff we don't have and the pursuit of stuff that we want that we then forget what we love that happens to be right in front of us. Take a breath when you're overwhelmed and look around. For me, when I'm at home and I've got shifts ahead at both of my jobs and I've got my podcast on my to-do list and I'm feeling like, oh my God, how can I get all this done? I take a moment and I pet my cat. For real. My cat is freaking ancient at this point. He's a bag of bones, but I love him more than anything. And I take those moments and I express gratitude for the time I have with him right then. I'm sure that you too have something in your life, in your immediate vicinity that you can be grateful for. Don't ever, ever lose sight of that. 3, keep it all in perspective. My late mom always used to talk about taking pictures in her mind when it came to poignant moments. No one can take those pictures, those memories away from you. I still love that metaphor. At the end of the day, what really is important? What are you living for? Those moments, right? And if you're struggling maybe with work or school and balancing life, it's easy to focus on the struggle, right? It's easy to get lost. But look at the bigger picture. Remember those mental pictures in your head and know that you get to create more of those. And that is the whole point, not the endless hustle to get there. In closing, it's perfectly okay to go out and enjoy your life. I give you permission. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode and got something out of it. And if so, do me a favor and repost this episode, however you're listening to it, on your social media. Also, feel free to connect with me, leave questions, comments, ratings, all that good stuff, and check out my website for more information at stephcorbell.com. That's Corbell. If you're on social media, I'm pretty much everywhere these days. You can find me on Instagram at Steph Corbell and on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube now at The Resilience Key. Thank you again so much for listening. Until next week, remember that you're more resilient than you realize and you're stronger than you know.